You are listening to the AI World Podcast, your trusted source for the latest innovations, insights, and trends in artificial intelligence, blockchain, fintech, and decentralized technologies. Each episode features expert interviews, engaging discussions, and in-depth analysis of how AI transforms industries worldwide. Stay ahead of the curve with the latest articles and exclusive reports from the AI World Journal, covering everything from emerging technologies to industry breakthroughs. For more news, global events, and access to AI World Society circle gatherings, visit us at aiworld.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed, stay connected, and be part of the AI revolution with AI World Lounge. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into, well, a really fascinating story, OpenAI, the company that, basically rewrote the rule book on how we interact with information.
Absolutely. Changed everything.
But we're not just skimming the surface with ChatGPT. We want to get into the deeper stuff, how a lab that started out all idealistic, nonprofit, open.
Yeah, the open part.
Right, how it became this powerhouse at the center of huge corporate maneuvering.
It really is the story of AI right now.
Yeah.
And our sources today, they really highlight what we're calling the billion-dollar paradox.
Okay, explain that.
It's this situation where you've got private companies like OpenAI shaping this technology that affects everyone globally. But, and this is the paradox, they're doing it fueled by money from massive public companies.
Right. Public money, private control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you understand that financial setup, you kind of get the shortcut to figuring out who really holds the cards in AI.
Okay, so we've got analyses looking at the whole thing, that cap profit idea they started with.
Which is fascinating in itself.
Totally. And the huge investments, Microsoft obviously, but others too, right up to this really critical deal, the partnership that shook up the hardware side of things in October 2025. We need to get into the mechanics here.
For sure.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with how a nonprofit dream attracted, well, billions of dollars.
Well, the basic problem right from the start for anyone trying to build these huge AI models is just the sheer cost of computation.
The servers, the processing.
Oh, yeah, we're talking infrastructure costs that are just astronomical. Maybe only places like CERN or, big government research projects could even compare. The original nonprofit setup, it just couldn't handle that kind of spending.
So they came up with this. I mean, you called it ingenious, maybe contradictory, this cap profit thing. Sounds complicated. What did it actually mean for, say, Microsoft putting money in, or Nvidia?
It means they built this kind of hybrid company, trying to balance two things. You've got the original nonprofit foundation, which is supposed to, keep control of the overall mission, the ethics.
The soul, maybe.
Sort of, yeah. And then you have this new for-profit company, the Capped Profit LLC. Now, the key detail, and the sources really emphasize this, is the cap.
Right.
It's not like a normal VC investment where, the sky is the limit on returns. Here, the profit potential is capped. It's limited.
Limit how? Like a fixed number? Or percentage?
Usually the sources talk about it being structured as a huge but finite return multiplier. You often hear figures like maybe up to 100 times what they initially put in.
Wow, 100x?
Yeah, pretty spectacular.
Okay.
But once investors hit that limit, that 100x or whatever it is, any profit after that is supposed to flow back to the nonprofit foundation to support the original mission.
Huh. So investors aren't getting endless growth, but they are banking on a massive guaranteed style multiplier. It's like a very specific high-stakes bet.
Exactly. It was enough incentive to pull in the tens of billions they needed to build the best models. And it gave the founders, a way to argue they hadn't just completely sold out the mission.
Right.
But it really depends on trusting that the nonprofit side will stay in charge after that cap is eventually reached. That tension's just... It's built right into the company's structure.
And you can see it worked just looking at the money involved.
Yeah.
Microsoft's $13 billion is the big number everyone knows.
It's staggering.
But yeah, the sources mention others too. Salesforce, Nvidia, huge companies lining up to fund what's basically a private research lab.
And that's where you see this inversion of accountability thing so clearly. You've got massive amounts of public capital money from publicly traded companies, right? Companies that answer to shareholders get scrutinized by regulators.
Yeah.
And it's all being channeled into this private entity that controls critical global infrastructure. Profits might be capped way down the line, but the control, that stays very concentrated, very private, and frankly, pretty opaque.
It's quite the trade-off. They get the cash, they get the reputation.
Uh,
The sources call OpenAI the golden child of AI, right? Everyone wants a piece,
Absolutely. Idolized by markets, governments courting them.
but they give up some of that original flexibility, that independence.
And that trade-off leads us right into the next big challenge they faced. Because, okay, you solve the money problem with billions in investment,
Right.
but that just makes the supply chain problem even worse. You can have all the money, but if you can't physically get the computer chips you need, well, everything grinds to a halt.
That perfectly sets the stage for what happened late in 2025. The money was there, the models were getting bigger and better. But the real bottleneck wasn't finding smart people or tweaking software anymore.
No.
It was getting the actual silicon, the
Yeah.
chips. And that meant being really dependent on basically one supplier.
Which is exactly why the announcement in October 2025 about AMD Advanced Micro Devices sent such a shockwave through the tech world. It was
Yeah.
a huge signal. OpenAI moving to control its own destiny hardware-wise.
Let's get specific here. AMD landed this major multi-year deal. They agreed to supply OpenAI with their next-gen AI chips, the Instinct MI450 GPUs.
That's right, a big commitment starting in 2026. Forward-looking stuff.
But just buying the chips, that's only part of it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The financial part of this deal,
Yeah.
that's what really takes it from just a supply agreement to a massive strategic realignment, a tectonic shift, really.
How so?
OpenAI didn't just sign a contract to buy chips. They got an option to buy up to 10% of AMD's actual stock.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. Through something called performance-based warrants.
Okay, I remember reading that and thinking, it can't be right. An AI lab taking potentially a huge chunk of ownership in a major chip maker, that's a wild move. For listeners, what exactly are performance-based warrants here?
They're basically like a conditional promise of ownership. It means OpenAI gets the right to buy AMD stock later if AMD meets certain goals.
Ah, okay, so it's not just a bet on AMD stock going up generally.
No. It's tied to performance. For instance, maybe AMD has to prove they can deliver a certain number of those MI450 chips on time. Or maybe the chips have to hit specific energy efficiency targets. If AMD delivers, then OpenAI can exercise those warrants and buy the stock, likely at a pre-agreed price.
So OpenAI is literally tying its own financial success to AMD succeeding in, well, challenging the big guy in the market.
Precisely.
Okay, that explains why the stock market reacted like it did. AMD shares jumped. What was it, over 25% almost overnight?
Yeah, the market got it immediately. This was huge validation for AMD. It gives them guaranteed volume, crucial engineering feedback from a top customer, and massive public credibility.
Right.
It really positions them as a serious challenger, finally. They're not just the other guy anymore. They're a validated competitor to the longtime dominant player.
And for OpenAI, it's smart diversification, isn't it? They're actively shaping their own supply chain, managing their risks, instead of just being stuck with whatever the main supplier decides.
Exactly. They're defining their dependencies. And this move throws a whole new dynamic into what we sometimes call the power triangle in AI hardware.
Okay, explain that. Before this AMD deal, what did that triangle look like?
Well, it wasn't much of a triangle, honestly. It was more like a pyramid with one company at the top. Nvidia.
Right.
Nvidia absolutely dominated AI hardware. Their H100 GPUs were everywhere. But maybe even more important was their software platform, CUD.
Yeah, we should pause on CUDA for a second. Because that's the classic example of tech lock-in, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about selling powerful chips. CUD is this whole ecosystem, tools, libraries, software that developers have invested years learning.
It was a standard.
It was the gold standard, which made it incredibly difficult and expensive for any organization, even a giant like OpenAI, to just switch to a different company's chips. You'd have to rewrite so much code, retrain people.
It created inertia.
Massive inertia. CUDA's proprietary nature basically meant that every new AI breakthrough just cemented NVIDIA's dominance further. So this OpenAI AMD deal, it's a direct assault on that lock-in.
Okay, so the positive spin is pretty clear then.
Yeah, the upside seems obvious. This injects real competition. Finally, some balance. If NVIDIA suddenly has a huge, credible competitor getting massive orders,
Prices should come down.
you'd hope so. Prices could potentially drop, access to powerful chips could increase, maybe innovation speeds up across the board because everyone's competing harder. That should benefit the whole tech world.
Sounds great, but the sources also dig into some pretty tricky ethical questions here, don't they, about this new alignment?
They do. Deeply complex governance issues.
Like when OpenAI shifts from just being a massive customer buying chips to potentially being a major shareholder in one of its main suppliers. How does that change things?
It creates this potential conflict of interest right at the very core of how global AI compute works. Think about the incentives. They're now split. Well, as a customer, OpenAI wants AMD to sell them chips as cheaply as possible, right? They'll use their massive buying power to negotiate the best price.
Sure, makes sense.
But as a potential 10% shareholder, OpenAI now benefits if AMD keeps its profit margins high if its stock price soars.
So they want AMD to be cheap for them, but expensive and profitable when selling to everyone else.
You got it. It really complicates any claims of neutrality. Say AMD develops some amazing new chip technology. Could it benefit everyone if it was based on open standards?
Maybe.
But would OpenAI, now having a big financial stake, push for that? Or would they prefer AMD keeps it proprietary, protecting their investment's value and maybe giving OpenAI an edge? It blurs the lines. Customer, investor, partner. It's all tangled up.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the financial strategy side is starting to really steer the ship, maybe more than the original mission statements.
And the source material definitely points that way. Look, you absolutely have to give credit where it's due. ChatGPT, everything that followed, it undeniably changed the world. How we create, how we find information, even how we think.
No question. Huge impact.
But that success story, it casts this growing shadow, which is the drift away from that original promise of openness.
It is a bit ironic, isn't it? The name OpenAI has kind of become, well, just a brand name now.
Yeah.
Not really a description of how they operate.
That's exactly the criticism you find in the sources, the very technology that's shaping the future of intelligence globally. It's now locked down, access isn't open, it's controlled through expensive APIs, complex corporate contracts, subscription fees.
Right.
The kind of open collaboration the founders talked about, it seems to have been replaced by access models dictated by business needs and these intricate financial deals.
And this whole structure, public company money fueling private control, now layered with these tight strategic partnerships like the AMD one with equity involved. It basically guarantees that the future of AI infrastructure isn't being built through some open collective effort. It's being constructed through these very exclusive deals among a tiny handful of tech giants.
And it forces you to ask that really fundamental question the sources raise. Should any private company, no matter how brilliant or visionary, have that much power, that much concentrated influence over the world's knowledge, its creativity? The way things are structured now, capped profit, supplier equity, it all just seems to reinforce that concentration.
The concentration is, it feels unprecedented. It's really clear OpenAI's path forward isn't just being mapped out in research labs anymore. It's being decided in boardrooms, on stock markets.
Absolutely. Through these alliances, these equity stakes, taking a direct financial interest in their hardware supplier, that's a defining moment for this whole new phase. The sources really suggest we're seeing this major shift. From focusing purely on discovery to focusing intensely on market control, supply chain dominance. It feels like the golden child of AI has grown up into something much more complex, powerful, and you could argue maybe less accountable than originally planned.
So what does this all mean? I mean, if the sources have it right and the AI future is being built by this web, the private companies funding public companies who then primarily serve the private companies' interests, even becoming shareholders in each other, how do we, the public, even start to think about oversight for something so tangled?
That's the core question, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like the next stage of this AI revolution won't just be about smarter models. It'll be about how this knot of financial dependency dictates who actually benefits from all this power, that entanglement. That's the thing you really need to keep an eye on.
The future of artificial intelligence is unfolding, and it's happening at AI World Week, the flagship global event for innovation, collaboration, and transformation. This flagship global AI event is designed to connect visionary leaders, trailblazing entrepreneurs, and influential thinkers to explore the endless possibilities of AI. Experience groundbreaking technology that redefines industries and inspires progress. Join thought-provoking discussions on ethical AI, digital equity, and the transformative role of technology in our world. Build meaningful connections that catalyze innovation and drive impact. AI World Week is powered by AI World Society, a global movement dedicated to advancing AI responsibly and ensuring it serves humanity. Together, we're shaping a smarter, more inclusive, and equitable future. Continue your journey beyond the event with the AI World Journal, offering expert insights, in-depth analysis, and the latest trends shaping the AI landscape. This is your opportunity to lead, to innovate, and to transform the world with AI. AI World Week. We invite you to join us and embrace the AI revolution.